Hello students, today I am considering the topic of GATT. GATT means General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. As far as this concept is concerned, I will be explaining this concept later on, but first of all I would like to elaborate the basic concepts which are a part of this. First one being trade and the second one being tariffs. Trade means it is the movement of goods from one person or entity to another person. It is generally carried out for value. If this trade may occur within the economy, as in it may occur between a buyer and a seller within the economy, and it may occur between the economies. The trade I am referring here reflects the trade between the economies. As far as tariff is concerned, tariff is also known as custom duty. It is basically a tax on the import as well as exports of the country. When it is levied on the imported items, it is known as import duty or import tariff, and when it is levied on the exported items, then it is known as export duty or export tariff. So now, after explaining these two major basic concepts, I am coming to the concept of GATT. Why GATT came into existence? What was the background story? Now I am going to elaborate that. See, as far as this background story is concerned, there used to be a time when the world wars were, they were going on. It was a period where that reflects its existence between First and Second World War, wherein the economies were striving hard in order to maintain their economic they were trying to maintain their existence, and they were trying to survive on their own, and they were fighting for their own selfish motives, and were focusing on the short term gains, and there was a sort of competition that was cutthroat, and they were making benefits, and they were ready to demean the other economies, and they were ready to do anything that they could do in order to do that. But they soon realized that whatever they were doing was a futile activity. It was an activity that was going in vain, because it was leading to collective loss of each and every economy. None of the economy was in a win-win situation, and rather they realized that they were in a lose-lose situation. So this made them realize there should be some sort of economic organization, or some sort of economic entity, or some sort of an agreement should be there between the economies that can prevent the recurrence of such a chaotic situation. As in, they started realizing that something should be done, so in order to avoid such sort of situations in future, and there should be restoration of harmony at that time. Then these economies also emphasize that, and they strongly believe that such an institution can only restore the reconstruction of war-torn economies. Such an institution can ensure the development of these economies. It was also emphasized at that time that whatever balance of payment disequilibrium had occurred, balance of payment difficulties had occurred, foreign exchange problems had occurred, they all could be solved if there is an international body, or if there is an international agreement between the parties related to that. All these world economies in general, they started realizing this. As a result, it was at the end of Second World War, the United Nations and its allies, they recommended the establishment of three economic institutions. One was International Monetary Fund, which is eminently known as IMF, then World Bank, then another one was ITO, International Trade Organization. These three organizations were called Bretton Woods at that time. However, ITO did not materialize because it received immense opposition from USA. Why ITO was not recognized, although it was signed by 53 countries? It was a Havana Charter at that time. Havana was a place wherein a charter was signed in form of a proposal, wherein approval was given to establishment of ITO as well. ITO included certain things like reduction in international trade barriers, and removal of ensuring the economic development, and promotion of full level of employment in the economy, means all those people who are able and willing to work, they get the jobs at prevailing wage rates. And other objectives were also like they're like price stability, mitigating the high level of prices. So all those things were also emphasized at that time. However, the Havana Charter was not ratified by US Senate, and because they were not accepting some of its provisions, and finally it another independent treaty was signed at Geneva, wherein the all the provisions of Havana Charter were they were abolished, and they were totally aborted at that time. When we talk about a treaty, the word treaty means any formally concluded agreement that has been decided between the parties. So leaving apart the Havana Charter, the Geneva an independent treaty was signed at Geneva, and this was a less formal agreement which is known as GATT. It was formulated, it was established in 1948. As far as this is concerned, this, as I've already told you, that there was massive economic devastation on account of the world war. So it was the basic objective of this particular move or an agreement was to boost up the world economies. It had certain objectives like promoting the international trade through regulating various tariffs, quotas and subsidies. It was also emphasized that some sort of rules and regulations for the trading economies should be established under it. It was signed in 1947 by 23 major trading nations, and India was also a nation that signed it. It became a law on 1st Jan 1948. And as far as GATT is concerned, later on after Uruguay round, this GATT was totally discarded, and it led to the formation of WTO in its place, and WTO was considered by 123 nations, and WTO came into existence on January 1, 1995. We'll be talking about WTO in the next presentation, but for the time being we'll be focusing on GATT. As far as GATT is concerned, it is a set of multilateral trade agreements, and it is basically it is basically an international forum that aimed at establishment of world trade, and basically the purpose was to create the world economies which would move towards the way of development, and to remove all the distortions that had caused on account of the world wars. It was basically, in this agreement, free trade between the member states were encouraged. Motive was, as I've already told you, it was to regulate and control the tariffs on traded goods. And whatever disputes were, existing between the various economies, because every economy would like to promote its own interest, the purpose was to, come to a common mechanism for resolving the trade disputes. Under GATT, the nations used to meet at regular intervals, and they used to discuss the various matters related to trade, and whether it was related to quota, tariff, or any other qualitative or quantitative restriction that was imposed during international trade. So all those things were discussed during GATT meetings. So it was basically contractual agreement between the parties, wherein the parties used to meet and discuss, and they used to arrive at conclusions. The objectives of GATT included, the basic objectives were, first, raising the standard of living of all those who had signed the agreement, ensuring full level of employment. I have already told you. If people get, the motive was that if the people will be getting employment, the level of income would be enhanced, and there would be effective demand for the same. And the another objective was to make optimum utilization of resources of the world, and the motive was to promote more and more of production, enhancing the level of production, and promoting the level of international trade, and having a free trade policy rather than following the policy of protectionism. By protectionism means we are promoting our own domestic industries, some of the domestic industries, and we are reluctant to get indulged into free trade. So the next thing is basic principles of GATT. The basic principles of GATT is first is non-discrimination. By non-discrimination we mean concept, before understanding this concept, non-discrimination means the economies would not be discriminating. How the economies would not be discriminating? It was a concept that was introduced at the time of GATT, which is known as most favored nation clause, MFN clause, wherein it was specified that if a country extends better trade treatment to one country, then it is supposed to do it for the other contracting parties of GATT as well. So as far as this was concerned, that it was emphasized at that time that none of the economies would be given any sort of discriminating treatment, and every member that has every contracting party that has signed the agreement would be given equal status. So at that time it was emphasized that if somebody is being given extra treatment or some sort of good treatment, then it would be equally applicable to each and every contracting party of GATT. The next one was prohibition of quantitative restrictions. Quantitative restrictions include in case of quota, we'll be specifying some sort of restrictions, but beyond this we will not be importing in our economy, or beyond this the domestic producers are not supposed to export, because there can be a chance that there can be a shortage of that commodity in our own economy, that if more exports are being undertaken, that can lead to export boom promotion in an economy. So in order to curb those practices, quantitative restrictions are imposed by the economies. But at the time of GATT, it was prescribed that all the quantitative restrictions on import and export should be abolished, and they should be prohibited. The next one was consultation. In consultation, it was emphasized that the trade disputes between the nations, whatever dispute, because every economy was more interested in promoting their own interests. If any sort of trade dispute occurs between the nations, then it would be solved through mutual consultations within the GATT framework. When these three principles were discussed, the main motive was to emphasize that whatever discriminating treatment existed, that should be eliminated. If in case the quantitative restrictions existed, there should be elimination of that. And if some sort of dispute is existing, then it should be solved. It should not be dragged, and it should not lead to a chaotic situation, which was the main cause of establishment of GATT. So these were the basic principles of GATT. However, GATT also prescribed certain conventions also. In these conventions, it was specified that any proposed change in tariff or any other commercial policy, any other trade policy, that then the proper consultation of other members is required. It's not that any discriminatory decision is being undertaken by any of the economy, and and the other members are not intimated of it. So it cannot be opted if the economy has signed an agreement. So this cannot be applicable in that case. The second thing is, in case all the barriers that are existing in the way of international trade, they should be regulated within the framework of GATT. Whatever rules, regulations, norms have been prescribed under the GATT, in case any reduction in tariffs or any other barrier to international trade is occurring, or any other any other amendment is being made, it should be done within the ambit of, or within the framework of GATT. Whatever rules and regulations that GATT prescribes, it should be covered under the ambit of that. So with this, the GATT is over. In the next presentation, we will be talking about World Trade Organization, and that is WTO. Thank you so much for the patient listening. Thanks once again.